I think the inspiration to form Neem goes about maybe 10, 11 years ago when we worked together, actually Nadeem and myself. As life has it, you don't expect things that as they turn out, but when you are ready for them sort of in your heart and mind, the universe brings them to you.
Do you think that there's enough support for women entrepreneurs in Asia?
We spend a lot of time in creating a safe environment for women colleagues to come and talk about.
For us was that we all saw financial services, or let's say financial wealth, financial health, you can give it different names, as one of the core enablers for someone's quality of life.
Regulation and then trust, adoption, tech infrastructure, there's so many things, not easy. They come as big barriers and challenges.
Life partners, the marriage couple cannot also be a great business partners. I think it's a myth which a lot of people are still afraid of. Move from the theory and the dream and the overthinking into actually it's not that frightening. Start with something small and start now. Yeah, you've got it.
Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. This is Mariam Jamal and welcome to another inspiring episode of Co-Founder Interview Series by Women Entrepreneurs of Asia. Today we have a truly inspired duo with us. They're the co-founders of a financial services startup. This women's journey brought her from Slovakia to Pakistan, and she entered the world of entrepreneurship as a woman founder in Asia. Alongside her is the male co-founder who shares the vision of driving financial inclusion and building impactful solutions. Together, they represent not just a startup success story, but also the power of collaboration and partnership between a women entrepreneur and a supportive male ally. Please welcome the co-founders of Neem, Vladimira and Nadeem. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you
Hello.
both?
Thank you, Mariam, for having us.
Thank you so much for coming over, taking out time for us, and also to Nadeem, especially you, because of course this is the platform that we built for women. But of course, coming over here as a co-founder is amazing for us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start with the journey behind Neem. What was the inspiration that made you form Neem, Vladimira?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Of course.
We talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
because you must have seen some gaps in the embedded finance, of course.
Yeah.
So how did you form it?
Yeah,
The
no,
why?
it is a great question. And I think it was, I would say, much before anything like embedded finance, or I knew embedded finance, what it even means. I think the inspiration to form Neem goes about maybe 10, 11 years ago when we worked together, actually Nadeem and myself, back in London, and we started sort of looking deeper into financial services, particularly financial wellness, and what this means in the context of emerging markets. And then as life has it, you don't expect things that as they turn out, but when you are ready for them sort of in your heart and mind, the universe brings them to you. So opportunity came for us to again meet and work together in Pakistan. And I think for me personally, I fell in love with the country and with the opportunity and with the need around financial inclusion in Pakistan. And I think it was the right moment. We also met our third co-founder, Nadeem, and everything made sense. And yes, we saw a gap, particularly around providing financial inclusion via servicing digital businesses or businesses that are already existing in Pakistan. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about it. But I think, again, the inspiration did not come from studying embedded finance. It came from really traveling the world, doing different things, going deeper into what sort of is a purpose that is relevant for myself and for Nadeem and for Naeem, and then being open to a moment where everything clicked together, and we said, let's build Neem here in Pakistan and let's do it together.
That's wonderful. Good to know. So who was the one behind this idea? Was Nadeem or you?
I think we'll have a lot of those tricky questions.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a take on this one?
My answer is going to be me. I know it's a really a shared vision. So we came at it from all of us came at it from a making impact happen. And I had a little bit more background than perhaps than Neem and Vladimira in Fintech and financial wellness and financial services, not financial wellness, financial services, based on my corporate backgrounds and my venture backgrounds. But the inspiration for Neem was pretty much shared. It was all three of us coming together in our own ways and saying, this is what we want to do and this is how the kind of impact we want to have. So it's quite good.
Yeah, maybe just to add to it, I think the common thing for us was that we all saw financial services, or let's say financial wealth, financial health, you can give it different names, as one of the core enablers for someone's quality of life. I think when you look on what does that mean for anyone, whether that's for women, this podcast is primarily about women leadership and women in general, the freedom to make choices, important choices in life, when you dig deeper in the bottom of the pyramid, comes from, yes, also the ability to have access to the right financial products, your understanding of how to work with them, your literacy, and just generally being able to make those choices. And you can make them when you're financially healthy and independent. And for me, it comes back to really childhood and seeing my mom having her own bank account and what choices it allowed her to make. And it actually happened much later in her life. So I think that was sort of common enabler or connecting point for us to see that that's a driving force. And then we just tried to find, actually we didn't try to find, we found a unique way to deliver that to people in Pakistan and businesses in Pakistan.
So we all know about Neem, right? But I want you to, explain a little to our people, like what Neem is exactly and what problem are they solving?
You want to go? I'll be there.
Any one of you?
Give it a try. Yeah, sure.
So we have focused down, and we spend a lot of time looking at the market, looking at what's happening, looking at the inspirations we had from our global perspective, having worked in many markets and so on before, and say what is it that is required here. And it took us a while to figure out the exact piece, but where we are really focused on now is providing a payment infrastructure for businesses of all sizes, from really small Instagram stores, fashion houses, to major corporations, life insurance companies, logistics companies, where we really streamline the movement of money within their businesses, right? So whether they are accepting money from consumers or or merchants, or paying them to vendors and so on, and moving the money around within their ecosystem, right? So that's one. And the second leg of the business is focus around earned wage access, particularly blue-collar workers, where we are working with employers to offer ability for their employees to be able to borrow in a Sharia-compliant way, earn wages, so that can help them in emergency situations. So it's not meant to be a indebtedness. We're not encouraging to borrow for consumerism, but really where they have a particular need and they just need to make the shortfall between getting the next paycheck. That's what we provide.
I see. That's actually a great gap that you guys are trying to fill. That's wonderful. By the way, who named Neem? This name, like, what was the story behind it?
It is a beautiful story, but I do give credit here where it rightly sits. It was Nadeem's strong effort. He was drilling it into Nadeem and Naeem and myself. Even I sometimes still make the mistake, Naeem, Nadeem. By the way, people think that it's a combination of their names, which is not.
Seems like.
And I was like, where did you leave the third co-founder?
Yeah.
But it comes, like I've learned, right, that it comes from actually a beautiful inspiration from the nature. We borrowed it from the powerful strength of the Neem tree. And I do remember when Nadeem actually introduced me first time to a poem which described the sort of strengths and resilience of the Neem tree. And then we had a retreat, one of the first founder retreats on the beach here, on the French beach, all three of us. And we were trying to figure out the name, and Nadeem sort of slightly put it on the table. And I think we all fell in love with the name. And since then, it's been a beautiful icebreaker, always at the beginning. But I think it's genuinely reflects a lot of values of what we wanted to build and how we wanted to build Neem as a legacy business. So we're very happy with the choice we made, but credit goes to Nadeem.
So as Neem offers the embedded finance, like payments, lending, easy wage access, right? So what were the challenges that you guys faced in building this, embedded finance platform in Pakistan, or more broadly, I'd say in Asia? Because regulation and then trust, adoption, tech infrastructure, there's so many things not easy to, they come as big barriers and challenges. So which ones was the toughest, and how did you guys address them?
So let's see if we pick the same. But if I sort of take a cut at it, I think if I look at the early days when we started, what was happening in the financial inclusion space or financial services space in Pakistan was a lot of companies, digital fintechs that were trying to provide sort of product and services directly to the end consumer.
Right.
And it was the sexy thing to do. And for rightly so, there was a gap. And there are some really awesome businesses that are sort of have been built in Pakistan that they keep growing.
Yeah.
I think the piece that we saw is that, yes, you can go the fintech route, the B2C, but there are so many good and established and innovative businesses in the other sectors, whether that's healthcare, education, logistics, financial services itself, insurance. And those businesses themselves have been struggling with their underlying central financial infrastructure. So what I personally really sort of loved and equally found as a challenge is to decide that we're going to build something that is maybe less sexy from sort of outside, but it's actually the necessity. It is the underlying puzzle. It is the underlying infrastructure. And when you do so, what happens is that it takes much longer for you to get out of the room of the drilling and grinding room where you built, to get on the light, to your sort of, let's say, customers or people to see you, because it takes many pieces to be put together, whether that's the partners we had to sort of integrate with and put all the pieces of the rails together. And once it's done, then it scales. Not to say that for us it wasn't exciting. I think it was a very exciting process, but I think it is challenging because a lot of that sort of pieces of the rails are either still very manual or require a lot of effort in a trust-based economy. So you have to go and meet the stakeholders many times. So yeah, I think from my perspective, it was the decision to actually go and build the underlying rails rather than to say, let's just build another B2C sort of fintech app and do a great marketing. But not to take anything away from it. I think it's very valuable. But yes, from my perspective, the decision to do that was the tough one and challenging one.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think it's and I'll talk about Pakistan, right? Because Asia is a big space,
of course,
and every country is different. All the ingredients were here, right? So we had a very supportive regulator, whether you think about the State Bank or the SCCP, very supportive in terms of digitizing. We had a lot of the government policies are focused on that and driving it. We have a strong population, lots of emerging businesses that want to digitize their payments infrastructure. The technology pieces were, in terms of technology infrastructure, cloud computing, APIs, SDKs, all this stuff was coming in. The design community, product design, how to do it, how to develop it, the product management side, the product life cycle. A lot of the skills were emerging from different industries and over the last 10 years. I think COVID helped. That accelerated some of the digitization. So all the ingredients were there. And more importantly, the problem of businesses being able to receive payments, distribute payments, move money around was very visible. Right. And so we tried to then take the ingredients and put them together in our own recipe, which we call a B2B payments infrastructure play, for example. And there are lots of people, some people call it open banking, some people call it embedded finance, some call it fintech, some people come up with their own language. And we're like, whatever you want to call it.
Financial services doing, okay.
It's a financial services.
Yeah, keep it easy.
And so that it took us a while to get that recipe right. Right? What is it? What take? What's localization? What we can borrow? What we can modify? What we need to build from scratch? So that's what took time, and so building that trust with the business partners out there that we will be providing support services for, that took a while.
Right. Trust is, I think, a major thing in this, especially when it comes to financial services or fintech, we'd say. But yeah, COVID played a major role in digitization. I agree with that. And I've mostly heard with most of the founders say that, since COVID, after COVID, our thing actually scaled.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
very
a
true.
test.
Yeah, that's pretty true. All right. So we know that Neem has already done partnerships with banks and insurance and many companies. So which has been the biggest, I would say, growth milestone so far? Which one surprised you guys the most?
Surprised us?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one. So I think if I speak about the underlying sort of central rails, right, which we use for digitized payments for companies. So I think what did not surprise me was that there was an interest and uptake from, let's say, small, medium sort of enterprises. But what did positively surprise me, how very quickly some of the enterprise customers that we have, and we're talking about some of the largest insurance players in Pakistan, which is it's giants, right?
Yeah,
and you could say very publicly that they might move slow. And the movement was just fast. The way how they showed interest and the commitment from really meeting, actually one of the clients we met at the SCCP conference, just to give them credit, is the local regulator here in Pakistan. And from the moment you were on the panel with that company and the stakeholder from the company to signing a contract and going live, it was literally few months, but we were talking about a single digits. And that certainly surprised me, because I was expecting that it will take much longer for enterprise clients in Pakistan to sort of adopt such innovative solution or sort of digital payment solution. So that was exciting to see. What was on your plate?
I would just add, absolutely. Now I would add that we found it across every industry. Doesn't matter what. So we are really now providing our services to 10 different industries, ranging from agriculture, healthcare, education, logistics, name it, right? Any industry name, trucking, we are providing services and have clients there. So this is a phenomenon that's going across the board. So it wasn't a focus on one niche and you're building something for it. So that's been pleasant surprise, right? In different markets, people have said, well, you have to focus on one and then hopefully some other industries come in. We had the opposite.
Please tell me, as a women founder in a way, I would say, fairly technical or financial space, which is more of the male-dominated area here. So what unique challenges or barriers did you face here? And was Nadeem a supportive and a helpful co-founder in navigating them? How did you navigate them? First,
you want the true story?
No,
I'm joking. I must say that both of my co-founders, Nadeem and Naeem, have been supportive as friends, partners, co-founders. I don't think that, or how I look at it today, I don't think they were such because I am a woman, though of course we all wear many layers of identity, right? So I'm sort of not taking that away. But of course, there were situations that I've experienced as being sort of a co-founder and entrepreneur in this field that sometimes sort of felt even uncomfortable or surprised me. They were intimidating, and to the level that I had to debrief with you guys. I remember maybe even being specific, we had few meetings where, let's say on the other side, we went into the room, 3 of us, and on the other side were only sort of male men, stakeholders. And it was primarily I would say, in the banking corporate sector. And it was actually in our initial days. And sometimes, and I mentioned this in a previous interviews, like sometimes I wouldn't get even an eye contact, and it sort of felt like being the third wheel. And I'm also sort of generationally younger to my co-founders, which, you know, I'm very open about. And also it's the beautiful aspect of how we complement each other.
That's right.
But was that a sort of a hard sort of fabric within that whole sort of situation? Sure. And I do remember getting out of the room and sort of being more on a silent side, and the guys sort of then asking me in the car, like, hey, what happened? And I had to explain to them because they didn't look at it at all from that lens, right? And I had to explain, why did I feel intimidated, or why I felt uncomfortable, or maybe even frustrated, and sometimes even angry. And I think it was very important for me to also understand that their lens was not the same, because they didn't have the similar experience at that moment. But when I shared with them how I felt, they were very open-minded, and then shared their perspective, I shared mine, and we found a common ground. And I think in other situations then we started sort of having each other's back, whether that was me or them. So that was very important. I think the communication between us. But are there unique challenges for women? I think so. I think we still live, and that's not just in Pakistan. I think the tech sector or the sector of entrepreneurship is still, unfortunately, heavily led by men. But the good thing is that it opening up. There are so many amazing women leaders and examples. They're coming up. They're speaking out, and I think even within our team, like, I'm so impressed by our own women leaders and talent, and the younger generation, like, they're just so confident. Like, I was like, where were we at that sort of times or sort of ages when we were the same age, and certainly was more on the discovery path at that time. So I feel like they're reclaiming their rights, and rightly so. So it's unique, but happy to have them on board, and it's through communication and explaining how things make us feel and how we can have each other's back, I think.
Nadeem, what have you personally learned from a women co-founder working with you? And like in terms of leadership, collaboration, and inclusivity, of course, what skills do you see Vladimira bringing to entrepreneurship? Like, you know, which you think that male founders should learn from? Male co-founders, I'd say.
Good question. Good question. I don't think I ever, so it's hard for me to answer that question in the sense of,
I'm sure.
Do I differentiate between Vladimira and Vladimira as a woman, right? So that lens doesn't really, I just thought about it for a second, that lens doesn't really come in, right?
Okay.
So it's much easier for me to answer the question, what does Vladimira bring, right?
Vladimira
as opposed to what does Vladimira as a woman bring, because that's part of her, that's who she is. But I don't really sit there and say, oh, Vladimira, the woman leader, has to say something. Right? I see her as a business leader in the full facet of it, and she happens to be a woman.
A woman, of course.
So, it's like all of us bring a different perspective, right? They are, we are all creatures of our experience, of our backgrounds, of our value systems. And, we have been fortunate in the Neem setup that a lot of our value systems are shared, similar. So that for us to have the easier conversations, but also as importantly, the difficult conversations is easier because we come from a similar value gauge, right? So we can say, okay, based on this is how we operate, this is how we think about people, this is how I think about the world, this is how we think about impact or interactions with others. So that becomes easier. I think it's a beautiful collaboration because we, she often sees beyond the headline. So Nadeem, there's an example she said before where Nadeem and I were in the room and they were talking and we were saying, we were looking at it and saying, okay, they're speaking, and you could see that they were not looking, and we were putting it down to culture. It's okay, that's normal. And when she put the light on that and said, that's not normal, that's not right. And we're like, actually, you're right, that's not right, right? That doesn't make sense.
True.
So oftentimes, and that's not just from a how the interaction works in what I may call a boardroom, but it's also in terms of how we think about the product and now services. There's so many biases when we think about inclusivity, and so we may have a perspective, but that's driven by the biases we have. And so having her lens on it, her focus on it, and says, hey, actually, no, that doesn't work this way. And that applies to our negotiations with, investors, clients, people, network, people we're hiring, and so on. So it's kind of it's just her experience that brings value to it, and and each one of us has different. And so that's how I would answer it. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Nice ways to go around it. No,
I
am joking.
I'll generally try not to go around it.
I think it was beautiful. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I do, but smart answer. You answered it right.
I didn't answer. I was like,
of course. Do you think that there's enough support for women entrepreneurs in Asia, like particularly in Pakistan, if we speak about? What do you think? What gap still needs to be, fixed?
I think there is more and more, and I see that across the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Whether that's between the founders and entrepreneurs themselves, so more
right.
network is happening, and I see more women actually not seeing themselves as, hey, I'm proud of myself that I made it in the boys club, but actually they're holding their hands and helping each other to rise up, which is really amazing to see, and should be like that. I see it with sitting on the board of the National Incubation Center, and I see that they have a special focus on having a cohort with a gender lens and having a separate program for sort of solving for unique needs of women entrepreneurs. And they're trying to understand what that even means, or whether that's in the investor landscape. We have sort of women investors here, and I wish we would have more, but again, they're inspiring others to come in. And they're educating the ecosystem what it takes to invest without bias, and sort of what it actually even means to be a woman entrepreneur, woman investor or entrepreneur. So I think long way of saying is that I see more of it happening. Do I think something is missing? Maybe more speaking up. I would say maybe more honest conversations. Like I remember we mentioned that conference organized by our regulator. It was, I think, a year ago. It was right after, I think our daughter was 6 weeks old, and I was on the panel with only women, superb women founders from Pakistan, and the conversation was about the challenges, and we decided as the cohort of the speakers that we were going to be brave, and we talk about some of the really, I would say, uncomfortable things, like what if, for instance, what happens when you have a nice picture on WhatsApp and some investors sort of start WhatsApping you at night and sending inappropriate messages and similar stuff. And I think people in the audience were a little bit like on a shy Jen, and I think they were sort of intimidated by us.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody actually talks about it. But
I
it's
think
such
more
an
honest
important
and raw
point.
Conversation on both ends.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
still feel like it happens behind the closed door, and
It
we are
happens. It
sort
does.
of afraid, right? But
Right.
I wish more of that happened and sort of being normalized.
That's right. How do you make Neem a workplace where women feel empowered and inclusive?
Great question.
Yeah.
So you addressed the question to me, so I'll start and maybe
sure.
jump in.
Yeah.
We're very conscious of it, right? And we're conscious about, and there's a lot of collective sessions we've had with not just the leadership team, but the wider team, right?
Yeah.
On the biases and what gets in the way, and what the pitfall we should avoid, what kind of language you use, what's the appropriate interaction way, right? How do you communicate? How do you interact? And while we are trying to be very easygoing and fun and caring and so on, right? So there's a lot of thought that goes to it, and a lot of openness in that conversation. I think we also are very thoughtful in terms of saying there's one bias says, hey, women can only come into this function, and you find very few in that function or very few in this function. And we encountered that at the beginning, and we were very conscious saying, okay, no, that's not acceptable. We have to figure out what is it, where are the pools of people who were already in there. So when we started looking, we found suddenly a lot of women engineers, and our lead engineer until recently, she just moved to an awesome job at State Bank, was a women leader, right? And across the board in all our my product team today, I look after the product side, are all women. Right?
Oh, wonderful!
Which is,
good to know that. That's nice.
So and they're terrific. They're amazing, and our head of operations, and in terms of the banking, operation stuff, a lot of senior people in the team are, and so we kind of got out of the myth of saying not available, not there. We do that, right? Then I think we spend a lot of time in while we're trying to be very create the same kind of environment for everyone, but we also very conscious of creating a safe environment for especially some of our women colleagues to be able to come and talk about any personal issue they may be having. So it could be, hey, I'm a recent mom and I need some space, or I have in-laws, or I may have some travel issues and something. And so those are issues which are real, right? And so we just create a safe space and say, okay, how do we address that? How do we make that possible? Where to add the flexibility? We try to be very thoughtful about if you have a parental policy, it applies both to the mother and the father, right? A little bit more biased with the mother, at the time and stuff, but be conscious of that. It's some flexibility, so then it applies to both genders, right? But we're trying to, so very conscious about the biases, have open conversation, create a safe environment, and then build the culture where those conversations can take place, and we kind of cater to that, right? That's how that's what we're trying, and it's not easy. We don't get it right all the time, but at least there's a very conscious effort in terms of naming it and trying to solve for it, right? That's how we think about it.
And I also have seen one amazing thing, which is that more diversity you are able to attract and bring into the company. So in this specific case, we're talking about women. They already started shaping the culture such that it actually is inclusive in its nature. Like I've seen them step up and putting the boundaries and saying this is okay, this is not okay, how it makes me feel when you talk to me this way, etc. I'm so proud when they call me sometimes and say, hey, this really made me uncomfortable, and I'm like, did you talk to your manager? Let's say it's a man, and they're like, you know what, actually you're right, let me pick up the phone and talk to my male manager. And sometimes there is a little bit of encouragement that's necessary, but they themselves are, as I said before, they're already stepping into the space of, I'm sitting around the table. Sometimes I might need some guidance and I'll ask for the coaching, but they come with confidence and sort of with that, I just feel like that feeling of like, I'm here and this is my place, so I'm not going to ask for approval. I'm going to shape the culture with you. And I think that's really great to see.
It takes some encouragement, right? And I think we also have to be thoughtful about diversity, not just being a gender lens, right? We have diversity of socioeconomic background. We have diversity of religious background, conservative backgrounds, right? We have diversity of education, where we went to school and so on, where they grew up, so all that stuff comes into play. And so, the environment is trying to give them some confidence to be able to voice, right? And that's what we're trying to work hard at.
That's actually nice. Vladimira, what do you think about what role can women entrepreneurs you think that they're shaping right now to in the financial and tech innovation across Asia? What do you think of it?
Yeah.
How do the women entrepreneurs?
So I don't want to generalize, but I think when you look on majority of the women which are building businesses in tech, most of them are building it with a strong sense of purpose and some thesis of changing the society, the world, the environment, the community around them for better. And I think that's what we need today. I think that, and I always believe strongly, sort of deep in me, is that if you're deciding to go on this path, it's better worth it, and you are doing it for doing something beyond yourself, not just for earning money. And I think women has been a strong inspiration for that within the founders community.
That's right.
So I'm very proud of that, and I hope that it's going to scale even more and inspire many other founders.
Nadeem, what's your vision for the financial inclusion and the tech innovation across Asia?
Across Asia is a law. Look, I think there is a real opportunity, and I think it's happening in reality. And we see bits and pieces across the board in lots of successful things. Where it's a real opportunity to redefine how people access financial services, right? And every market is slightly different. Every market has a culture bias and so on and other impediments that get in the way, but they are generally moving in the right direction, right? So if you think about not so long ago, how many people have bank accounts, right? And and now everyone has a bank account. Well, they call it a commercial bank account or a microfinance bank account or a wallet bank account, or they all have bank account. That's bank account, right? They have different limits and so on, but that's so that's widespread. I did this challenge, and for about a week, this is a few months ago, I refused to pay anyone in Karachi at any interaction in cash. So that was the not that I'm a pawn wala, but that included like a pawn shop, that included the fruit wala, that included the kirana store, that included the rickshaw driver.
But was it possible then?
Absolutely possible. Right? So what I found is that when people say, well, most people don't have POS machines, they don't have credit cards, they don't have debit cards,
of course.
Not true. Everyone has said, hey, I don't have cash, can I pay you online? So I'm sure. And they remember their IBAN numbers by heart. They were like, you put it in, you pay. And so everywhere that's possible. So people's acceptance of this stuff is getting better and better. People's education is getting better. And so I think the idea of everyone having empowerment through access to financial services is where we're heading. That's why we are here. That's why we're building it in Pakistan. We see such a huge opportunity, and that doesn't. And I talked a lot about the individual, but same applies to businesses. So many businesses really need to have better financial service rails just to manage their working capital, just to manage their workflow, right? Money coming in and out. Sometimes it takes them to receive money back from things they've sold up to 15 days, 20 days. And that's a cycle, which is, of course, impacts the business, right? So if you can shorten it, make it easier, seamless, repeatable, with a lot of trust in the system, that's what it is. So we are trying to figure out how to empower businesses and through them, their individual consumers or merchants. That's the vision, right? That's what we're trying to do. And early days, still steps. I mean, just because it's early days only in the sense of the opportunity landscape is so huge, right? But we are very excited about it. It's a huge, it's really a privilege to be doing it.
It's actually great to know, actually the innovation and the technology is making, driving the change. It seems like with your challenge, I just got to know today. Wow, amazing.
Try it.
I'll try it next time.
Okay, try it. It's like, you have to get past the headlines. People say, no, people don't have, they can't read, they don't have access to mobile phone. Not true. They all are. They have access to smartphone. They may not be their smartphone, they have access to it.
I think digital wallets have also, helped.
A lot. Everything. All those pieces have helped. WhatsApp, YouTube, we're able to read, write. There's lots of podcasters who are doing stuff within that communities and so on. Understanding of what financial services is, where can I lend from, where can I borrow from. It's all very, very rapidly increasing.
That's right. Vladimira, do you feel like the ecosystem right now across Asia, is it opening up enough opportunities for the women entrepreneurs?
Not being equipped to answer because they're so ingrained in Pakistan. And I think rightly so, because I think what we are doing just requires to be, sometimes not even looking too much outwards, but really looking deep and just being ingrained in what you are doing. But look, there are opportunities that even lend on, if I speak from a personal experience, I would say nearly weekly, there are opportunities that sort of lend on my plate. I see my fellow entrepreneurs from this region sort of going and being on stages, being in fellowships, being awarded, having platforms to be voiced. So as I said before, I think it is improving. I think people understood that it's not just a ticking box exercise to give in sort of opportunity to women founders, if we qualify them as women founders, but they understood that there are some amazing builders and some ideas driven by these amazing people who sort of happen to be women, and I think the ecosystem wants to learn from them and wants to give them space. So I see it. Yeah, I think that's probably the short answer, is that I feel like the opportunities are, and I would maybe take a opportunity to inspire other women, just to say, have your eyes open, reach out, ask your fellow sort of community members and other entrepreneurs, like, hey, how did you get that fellowship? Can I follow? And I'm sure that they will help. So I think, yes, the answer. I want to stay on a positive side. I think it's improving.
Right, that's nice. What are some myths about co-founders that you'd like to bust?
Now we
I
come into the
always ask my
spicy
guests
stuff.
to, bust a myth
Yeah.
when you're here. So come on, you guys, bust a myth about co-founders.
Okay, I have one. I think the one related to us, and the one that also positively surprised me in Pakistan, is that the life partners, the marriage couple, cannot also be a great business partners. I think it's a myth which a lot of people are still afraid of, whether that's investors or the ecosystem or employees. I think if you are, obviously it's not easy, but it can be really beautiful and empowering. I think it takes work, and it's a conscious design. If you create your own playbook and you try to sort of work around it daily, it can be an accelerator and amplifier both in your personal lives, because you share a mission and vision, and you don't question in the evening, like, why are you still doing that email? It's actually, oh, you're doing that? Okay, you know what? Let me just take, Maya and go out with her for a walk, because you need to concentrate. And I think that has been a beautiful part of our lives. And I think it's also empowering for us at work, because sometimes on an investor meeting, we just exchange eye contact, and I think we can read each other just in 100 layers, right? So, the embedded trust is there. So I think it's a myth that definitely need to be busted.
Yeah. Any myths you would like to bust?
I think so. I would, because in talking to a lot of founders, the myth that this co-founder stuff is always beautiful, right? It's always easy. Right, it's like everyone's, you started together, you had a passion for something, and it will magically all just work out. It's not easy. It's a lot of tough conversations along the way, right? And tough conversations not necessarily, sometimes personality, but mostly not. Mostly it's about, the reality of life, the reality of business. You've been together for 4 years. We have been building this stuff, 2.5 years in earnest, but before that. Things change. And so how do you navigate that, right? And sometimes that's almost like, you almost need therapy, right? And we have, sometimes gone and said, okay, let's get founder therapy here, and this, in terms of being able to talk it out. So that idea that you cannot talk about the difficult conversations between founders, and every founder relationship is just beautiful and always not true at all. It's actually a lot of ups and downs, and you just need to navigate it like you do any other relationship. But it has to be very conscious. And you have to be very open to having those conversations. Otherwise, it can leave a lot of anxiety in the middle of building a startup, which is always tough.
That's right. Okay, a fun question for you guys. What if a young couple comes to you saying, we want to work on a startup? What would be that first encouragement you'll give, and the first warning you'd give them?
And they're married, or they're like,
I said couple.
Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever that defines.
I said a young couple.
Got it.
There was our biases, the couple in our world.
I just want you to decide on first.
Go for it.
First encouragement and the first warning.
Okay.
Yeah. So good, do it. Right. It's if you're passionate about something, excellent. Right. That's the encouragement I would give. But you have to be passionate about it. You have to want to build it and so on. So that's the first encouragement.
And I'll do the warning.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe actually, I would not give them a warning. I would give them an advice. Can I swap it a little bit? Okay,
sure.
Amazing. I would tell them to create. I will be specific. I'll tell them, okay, go for it. But as part of your sort of toolkit, create 3 different WhatsApp groups between yourself. One is dedicated to your business-only conversations. One is to life, and maybe the third one is to your whatever love language. And I'm speaking from a personal experience. I think it was a lifesaver for us. Joking aside, we do have it, and how it's helpful is that it allows us to also have boundaries and have sort of our world and in a little compartments. And I think you have to have that sanity and health check. So our conversation in our business channel have a very tonality than in the other one, which happens seamlessly. So we talk about buying diapers for Maya on one channel, while on the other one is like, how do we sort of speak to that investor in the next hour that we have a call, or any other sort of business model conversations. So that would be my advice. Just be mindful of the different layers of life that you will have together, and work around them, design around them, and WhatsApp can be your friend.
Yeah, I will add one more.
Go for it.
Please.
I think it's that we have a switch off button. Right. So at some point, and it's usually on the drive home, and we have always had this, we switch off. So after this, and there's sometimes you may have a late call or something, but normally we switch off, and then it becomes to non-work mode. Right.
Okay.
And that especially applies also, both in the mornings and evenings, and also on the weekends. Right. So we, unless there's some exception, we have to prepare something and so on. So then we call it out and say, I need 2 hours to work on something. But we have that switch off mode. Sometimes when you're, especially in the early stage of building a business, then you're very easy to get consumed by it, and that it takes over the entirety of your being, right? And if it's not going well, then define that impacts your other life, right? Life together. So I think that's important to just know when to,
That's nice.
Yeah.
Right. So Vladimira, what message do you have for women founders across Asia who plan to build something of their own, build something impactful, but of course face this cultural and social resistance?
I would probably say, don't overthink it too much, just do it. And I'm saying that even to myself when I'm thinking, but I don't need it right now because we're building Neem, but I do remember the early days. But I think that would be it, because I feel that we do overthink a lot as women, and we tend to pre-plan everything till it's 120%, and only then we go into it, and we have 5 notebooks written with ideas and how to plans. So I would just say, tomorrow is not a better day to start. Just start today, and start by very small things. Maybe reach out to someone who knows someone in the industry and learn about how it is, or someone who can help you talk to the incubation center. Maybe they'll give you an idea. But I think start with something very small. Go to the market to look at the fabrics if you want to start the fashion business. And I'm talking to myself here. So I think that's it. Just move from the theory and the dream and the overthinking into actually it's not that frightening. Start with something small and start now. Yeah, you've got it. That would be my message.
That's right. Nadeem, as a male co-founder, what would you advise the males who are working with the women entrepreneurs right now, whether as a team member or
a good question.
As a founder?
Great question. I think it's there are biases. There are use of language. There is a unconscious sometimes, but because you're used to something, there are description of a tendency to confine and saying, oh, all women are bad drivers, right? As I'm just using an example, or something. All men are extroverts, right? And so on. So it's be very conscious of that. Each one of you brings your own set of skills, your own set of passions, your own set of DNA, if I could use that term, emotions, and take advantage of that. That will help you get under the cover of the in the engine room, and kind of look a bit deeper, look at the problem differently, value the input and judgments from both sides. And I think there are in our relationship as a business partner, I'm very conscious of that. I have a lot of blind spots, or I will get into sometimes the frenzy and say, okay, that's the way we're going to do it. And we're like, hey, there's another idea, there's another way to look at it. And sometimes that works the other way too, right? But it's kind of so having that, take advantage of it. There's no point in having the difference in personalities and genders and and skills and abilities and being in the room and kind of focus it on this is how we do it. This is how society expects us to do it. This is how business are built. This is all businesses are different. All companies are different. All cultures. So be very much open to taking advantage of that diversity that you have. It's really the privilege if you get it right.
Right, that's nice. Good answer. Okay, so I'm gonna have a quick fire round with you both. Right. So here are the questions coming over to you both. Okay, so who's the biggest? No, I'll say bigger. Who's the bigger risk taker?
Oh, I think it's me. No.
It depends on which area of life you ask about.
Yeah.
Correct?
So, true, actually, right?
Yeah. Maybe we leave it at that.
Yeah. So maybe leave it at that, right? But in terms of the risk of moving to a new country and you've never been somewhere, so
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But it is true that in a business sense, I'm more of a devil's advocate and sort of trying to pull back. Nadeem is always sort of seeing things and he's bringing them on like again, and then so he's up for that. So depends on which part of the life.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Okay, who's more organized and who's more spontaneous?
Again, it depends, right?
You're too? Okay.
I think the black and white is hard for us.
It's hard. So in the business sense, Vladdy is a lot more organized. Brings a lot more structure and governance.
I love systems. Yeah. I think they're powerful.
And on the home life stuff, certainly me.
Yeah.
Certainly, I am much more organized. I would make them sure all the things happen on time. Food arrives, cooks, laundry is done.
Good to know.
Completely opposite.
I made sure in my system that it happens. No, but it is true. And spontaneous, I think we're trying to inspire each other to be so, right? But I feel like maybe one last one is that whilst we have an age difference, I do feel sometimes as an old soul when I'm with Nadeem, I think he has such a beautiful young soul. So I would say that he's maybe the more spontaneous from us, and it's different than it looks on the outside. Yeah.
Right, that's nice. Good to know. Okay, who's the better storyteller when pitching investors?
Storyteller.
Yeah.
In terms of how to describe the business?
When pitching to the investors.
Yeah. I think, certainly, Vladdy. I think, she is, from someone who had never really, until a few years ago, hadn't really gone and officially pitched and stuff, to now, certainly a very strong trait.
I'll take it, though I feel that we have unique stories to tell.
Yeah.
So again, it's hard for me to answer, but I think because also my lens doesn't come from deep financial services and we are operating within that space, I do feel like sometimes I have to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
So I'll take it from that angle. But I do feel it's, again, very unique stories to tell, right?
Yeah, but storytelling is I'd say a skill.
Yeah.
For now. An art.
It's a good part because you can sort of acquire it and get better.
It's a very important skill, I think. In entrepreneurship, I feel like.
Sure.
Okay, so one Pakistani tradition that Vladimira has fully embraced.
Fully embraced?
Yeah.
Oh, ask Nadeem. I'm curious about your answer.
Nadeem, you have to answer it for her.
1,000%. She's
Which
more
one?
Pakistani than I am.
Oh,
in all kinds of ways, right?
People do tell me that.
She's more Pakistani. In terms of the culture, the food, getting behind the scenes, understanding stuff, seeing seeing the magic, where someone may see chaos, she sees, oh my God, it's such an amazing, look at that, it's happening. So she certainly over the years become, I spent most of my adulthood abroad, right? So we came back professionally together at the same time, right? The first time we were both novices in the Pakistani professional scene when we came back 5 years ago, right, as part of a corporate structure. Certainly she is a lot more Pakistani than I am. And not that I am not Pakistani.
Of course.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, well, fair. Our friends say that, especially when I here and there say a comment, which can be even inappropriate, and they say, "Oh my God, you are so Pakistani."
Ooh.
But maybe that's for another podcast.
What a compliment it is, I'd say.
But look, I take that close to the heart. I do have my Nike proudly, and our daughter is half Pakistani, so I'm trying to embrace that as well and keep my other Slovak identity as well.
I love the name, by the way, Maya.
Maya, thank
love the
you.
name.
Yeah,
very nice.
Maya and Sreen, her full name.
Yeah. Okay, so Pakistani street food you both love.
Okay, so I must sort of confess this. This is such an embarrassment for me in every conversation because I'm so bad. I've been here for nearly 6 years, if not longer, and I'm just really bad with the Pakistani food, the names of the Pakistani food. And I've been drilled even on TV about this publicly. But you start, and then yes.
Yeah, so we are both of us quite like our basic traditional food in from any cuisine, especially our own cuisines, right? So if I describe some of the stuff she loves from the Slovak cuisine or myself, so I it's like when I tell this, and my older kids will cringe when I say this, is I love kalajane, in Java, right? Which is a little bit of shorba and so on.
Yeah.
I can have it every day, all day, and they were like, "That's not even food. That's like no."
I don't think it qualifies as an answer to this question about street food. Yeah. So I think we are bad respondents to that question.
So we'll try. We eat everything. Dahi bade, pani puri. There's a beautiful place right across. It's a TDF Ghar. Right?
Yes.
Upstairs, they serve a lot of street food, right? And now there's a nice market here in DHA in phase. Is it 6?
I think so.
So it's like it's like about 20 different restaurants. So we love that. We love going there and so on. So all kinds, anything that's clean, we will be there. Right? So we think.
You just sounded like a burger kid, but yeah. But we love it. Just names horrible, and Kala channel would always be on the table for
you
us.
like all of those, right?
All
the Pakistani street food.
Spice is still an issue, but getting better. Yes.
Great. Okay, so one Slovakian dish Nadeem loves now.
I think it's the traditional one. I've introduced him many years back, which in Slovak you would say brinzové halušky, and it's basically dumplings which are made with a special cottage cheese, and yes, there is a bacon on top of it, which here it wouldn't sort of apply, but he didn't try with the bacon. Oh my god, embarrassment publicly. But you can put any sort of beef,
any meat
or
any form of meat.
But I think is the dumpling. I think it's connected to the roots of Slovakia, that people eat very sort of quite heavy and grounded and potato-based dishes, and the cottage cheese, the sheep cottage cheese, is just that to die for. So whenever we go there, we sort of enjoy the dish.
Well, wonderful. Really, it tastes really yummy. I could just feel it.
Well,
only
should,
while
I promised to friends of ours that we should do it. So we should do that night of cooking.
Wonderful. Okay, so who's more likely to bring work into the dinner conversations?
So based on the rules we have, unlikely. Unless one of us says, "Hey, we need to talk about this" or something. Unlikely.
Okay. Yeah, dinner. It doesn't happen.
Dinner is our time space to veg out.
Now we co-eat with our daughters.
Yeah, she's probably gone to bed by then, so it's kind of a wedging out in front of something or watching something, or so that's kind of our sacred moment.
Great. Okay, who has the craziest startup ideas? Which one of you? Which one of you?
Wait, these are difficult questions for us. Crazier. I would say Nadeem has plenty always. And maybe mine are outside of the spectrum. So maybe in that they sort of, but you also have some really cool ideas. Like he wants to have his Neem coffee place open one day, and has a beautiful idea about it. And once we are done with doing some impact here, but I think probably we have a good mark on this, both of us. Yeah.
Good to know. One app you can't live without.
App?
Yeah, app.
Oh, I know right now.
Yeah.
It's an app that helps us identify Maya's sleep cycle. So I can't live with that because it had taken so much of my sort of, stress from our heads. So yeah, that's as of now, today, that's it. I'm going for it.
What about you, Nadeem?
Hey, I'm not big on, so of course there's the usual stuff like WhatsApp and so on and use, right? So where, I'm an avid Man United fan and a Pakistan cricket follower. So some of those apps that are minute by minute
can't live without
information,
that.
I can't live without. Like I have to
Okay,
know what's
nice.
happening every ball and so on. So those things. But we're not really addicted to our apps as such. Right? Yeah.
That's nice.
Or try not to be at least. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, early bird or a night owl? Who's which?
Oh, I love early bird for myself. You are certainly not early bird.
No.
Night owl. Yeah.
Night owl.
That's
Night owl?
easy
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
easy.
Okay,
Yeah.
one women entrepreneur in Asia who inspires you.
Whew, long list.
Long list.
Maybe we could start close to home.
Yeah.
I would say I would take the opportunity to call out actually a dear friend who I think is an amazing entrepreneur and a human being. She's Pakistani, Noreen Hyatt, who was one of the pioneering entrepreneurs in Pakistan, and she's still on it and building another of her businesses. And I just love her vision and caring leadership that she has, and she's been inspiration for many, not just women in the ecosystem.
Wonderful.
Yeah, look, I think there are lots, right?
Yeah, several of them, of course.
But again, closer to home, again, someone that's become a friend. That is, and there are two women co-founders. We happen to know one of them better than the other, but both inspirational. Is Dr. Sarah at Shaikh. They are. Noreen, Sarah, and they are really passionate with the space they're building.
Yeah, that's right.
And each in their own way has really had to push a lot of, had to go through a lot of hard work to get to where they are and continue to push it and they have, I think the words you use is not just the impact around, in their space, but a much wider ecosystem and not just around women, but a lot of founders are inspired by them, right? So, yeah.
Right, that's nice. Okay, one thing you admire most about each other?
Ooh, that's lots of things.
One thing.
Yeah. Hit the most.
Okay,
the one that's most.
I know mine about you. I admire about Nadeem. I think he's one of the most resilient people I've met in my life. And I truly mean that. Like I've seen him going through very rough patches and the ability to put himself together and renew himself is just, it was very inspirational. And I have taken multiple lessons from it. So resilience it is. Anti-fragility, as some people would say. I think it's a unique quality that you have and you've been sort of building it over the course of your life. So I admire that.
Thank you. There's so many. If I had to pick something, I think it's and this is in both in our business sense and as a life sense. There are life is like in its all beauty and it's a journey through various ups and downs. And Vladdy has this unique ability whenever when it's a little bit dark and it's like she says we got this, right? And but not in a throwaway line, but in a very genuine we got this, we are and that we is very strong, we are together. I have your back, and in whatever obviously in whatever form that issue is in, right? And so that is it's such a blessing. I think very few people have that in their relationships.
That's right.
And so just have that is and it's a unconditionality that it's and it's such an amazing feeling to have because you get such strength from it. And so I do a lot.
Right, wonderful. Okay, be honest on this one. Who's more likely to forget an anniversary?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, Vladimira.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would put that on my CV.
Oh.
Yeah. It's certainly not a strength of any kind.
Yeah.
But just recently we both forgot about ours. So, but yeah, I
Okay.
think the answer is cool.
That's fine. Okay, so finally describe each other in one word.
I'll tell you what came straight to my mind because I think that's often the best answer.
Yeah.
What came to my mind was your name, was Nadeem. And I couldn't pick anything beyond it because I think for me, that's the world. And it's just so beautiful and complex and rich and colorful that that's the word that came to my mind. It's just Nadeem. But I don't know, you might have a different answer.
But such a beautiful answer she gave.
Beautiful answer.
Thank you.
No, that's a beautiful anscer. Thank you.
It's a real
So what came to? I'm
answer.
not sure if this crosses your line about business and personal.
Yeah.
But the word that came to my mind was my life. So it's like everything about my life starts here and ends here.
Great. Wonderful to know. Okay, so to end this, I want you both to share one book, one habit, and one belief that every entrepreneur should build.
It sounds like an easy question. Is the toughest one? Okay, so
You guys can
should we
think and
start-
then answer. That's okay.
Okay, should we
can edit it.
start with the books? There's plenty of books in our home.
So from an entrepreneur point of view, is that
Yeah. Where every entrepreneur should build those.
Okay, I'll pick one. Yeah.
So pick
I
one.
mean, out of many, I would highlight one that might not become sort of common choice.
Yeah.
It's a book by one of the coaches that I really look up to. His name is Jerry Colonna, and he wrote a book called Reboot. And he talks about the other side of entrepreneurship, which is how do you take care of yourself as an individual, of your
wonderful.
emotional and mental health. And I think it's essential to this journey, especially if you're a solo founder. So pick it up,
Right.
Reboot. And few founders in Pakistan, I've seen it in their living rooms. So that's amazing to see.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I concur with that. I think you have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur. You have to be crazy. This is not an easy road, right?
Yeah.
It's a passion road. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of excitement.
Right.
It's enriching, but
Yes.
you have to be crazy. And so that crazy part, very few times we talk about it, right? And that has a lot of impact. And so I think the book you picked is a beautiful book. Right?
Any special habit?
Yes, I think you have to, and it can take any form you like. It could be a walk. It could be we play paddle sometimes, or a yoga, or 5 minutes of just switching off, or we wake up at 6:30. My late bird, a night owl. You call me.
Night owl,
I'm a very early riser because of our little daughter. She's up at 6:30 and hello, let's go. So all those things, I just create a break, right? Give you and so that ability to just take a pause. Sometimes I'll go for a stroll in the middle of the workday. Sometimes I'll go sit in a corner and just close my eye for 5 minutes or grab my coffee and just think about nothing, look out the window. Super important because life passes by, and if you start living life especially in the entrepreneurial world, which says one day when this is done and this is better, then I'll be okay. It never is done, and it never gets to that point where everything is better, right? There's always something going on, right? So you just have to enjoy every moment of it, and that pause on the daily basis, whatever form that takes for you, is super important. And that's how it is.
No, I would add to it that I think that if we are building towards just climbing on top of the hill, I think we will be surprised that the top might be pretty empty and quite sad and lonely. And I've got that from conversations with many founders who actually got there. And when they, for instance, exited businesses, it was one of the toughest times in their careers and lives, because suddenly everyone expected that you nailed it, you are there, you should be everything right now, starting with the most content and happy. And they said that was when they actually lost their purpose in life. And I think the reflection comes to that every day matters, every hour, every moment, and being present. So that's the journey. It's not towards where we're heading, it's now what we are doing.
Okay, sorry, Nadeem, we don't have the present for you, but we have one thing for Vladimira. This is a present from Dabra and Vatika, who are our official gift partners. So you guys should also use Vatika because it has all natural ingredients. Thank you to both of you for sharing your vision, your journey, the challenges that you guys face. But of course, this story reminds us that entrepreneurship isn't just about building the companies, but also about bridging the gaps, breaking the barriers for women leaders, and men and women leading side by side. That's wonderful. So thank you so much to my people. Start over, dream big, and just as Bloody said, you need to take a step and just start it over. So don't think, research, do the data collection, and just start working on your idea, solve a problem. Thank you so much. This is Mariam from Women Entrepreneurs of Asia. See you soon. Allah Hafiz.